There was an idea
to bring together a group of remarkable people.
To see if we could become something more.
So when they needed us, we could fight the battles
that they never could.
Dim the lights and silence your cell phones. This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the April 24th, 2018 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronic Riff Network. Starting with the box office report for week 16 of 2018, audiences traded rampaging wildlife for a trip back to the quiet place. The top 12 earned a total of $112 million. Placing 2018 in the charts at 6th place and up 18.5% from last year. Let's start this countdown with number 10, An Isle of Dogs, down 3 from 7. At number 9 is our first new release, Traffic, debuting to $3.9 million. And believe it or not, that's actually on target for expectations, with an audience score of a B grade. Unfortunately, the critics, they settled between a 24 and 39%. They didn't like it much. At 8th place is Black Panther, still holding tight to the top 10 after last week's 6th place performance. In 7th is Blockers, down 2 from 5th, and capping the bottom 5 is Ready Player One, down 2 from 4th. The top 5 begins with Truth or Dare, down 2 from 3rd with $7.8 million, and a total of $30.3 million. In 4th place is Super Troopers 2, premiering to $15.2 million. Now that's great against a $13.5 million budget, and it also solidly beats expectations. That debut places Super Troopers 2 between Zoolander 2 and Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay, which gives hope to a final run of $30 to $40 million. The 16-year gap between installments does not seem to have dulled the fandom. Audiences gave it a B+ grade, and critics were pretty consistent as well, landing between a 35 and 41%, which is right on target against the previous film. In 3rd place is the final new release, I Feel Pretty, premiering to $16 million. That's also on target for expectations, but it's below other Amy Schumer films like Snatched and Trainwreck. The big difference is the PG-13 rating on this one versus Schumer's normal R rating. Audiences gave I Feel Pretty a B+ grade, and critics fell between 34 and 47%. In 2nd place is last week's winner, Rampage, earning $20.1 million for a new total of $65.7 million. And moving back into 1st from 2nd is A Quiet Place, picking up $20.9 million for a new total of $131.3 million. A Quiet Place is also about to bolt by Split and The Conjuring, both of which made about $138 million each in their entire runs. A Quiet Place is now the top grossing domestic release for Paramount Pictures since Star Trek Beyond. Unfortunately, A Quiet Place's victory may be short-lived because the box office premiere for April 27th says it's game over. This week's headliner is Avengers: Infinity War, the 7th film in Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starring a huge cast from the last 8 years, including all the heavy hitters and some of the best secondary team members like Karen Gillan, Elizabeth Olsen, Chadwick Boseman, and Tom Holland.
The entire time I knew him, he only ever had one goal. To wipe out half the universe. If he gets all the Infinity Stones, he can do it with the snap of his fingers. Just like that.
Tell me his name again.
Thanos.
This is it. This is for all the marbles. The Avengers and their allies must be willing to sacrifice everything in an attempt to defeat the powerful Thanos before his blitz of devastation and ruin puts an end to the universe. Avengers Infinity War is rated PG-13. And I haven't seen it yet, but believe me, you're going to want to stay away from the internet and spoilers because social media, they're going to do it to you. They're going to ruin it. If the Avengers aren't quite your thing, there are 8 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Now, it's going to be understandable if you can't get into theaters this week, so there's always home entertainment. Starting with a look at the new release on DVD and Blu-ray for April 24th, we have Paddington 2, a family comedy starring Ben Whishaw, Hugh Bonneville, and Sally Hawkins. Paddington, now happily settled with the Brown family and a popular member of the local community, picks up a series of odd jobs to buy the perfect present for his Aunt Lucy's 100th birthday, only to have that gift be stolen. Who would steal from a cuddly teddy bear? Paddington 2 is rated PG. The other title this week is Maze Runner: The Death Cure, an action thriller starring Dylan O'Brien, Thomas Brody Sangster, and Rosa Salazar. Young hero Thomas embarks on a mission to find a cure to the deadly disease known as the Flare. Maze Runner: The Death Cure is rated PG-13. Swinging by new release on digital video, I have one title to share, and that one is Bombshell, the Hedy Lamarr story. A biographical docudrama starring Hedy Lamarr, Peter Bogdanovich, and Mel Brooks. Austrian actress Hedy Lamarr fled an oppressive marriage to create a name for herself as one of Hollywood's top leading ladies in the 1940s. Behind the glamour and sex appeal, though, was a talented and inquisitive inventor who created a radio system that is now considered the basis of Bluetooth technology. Bombshell, the Hedy Lamarr story, is not rated. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with Shameless, Season 8 from 2017, starring William H. Macy, Emmy Rossum, and Cameron Monaghan. The Gallaghers are finally on an upswing in Season 8. Frank comes out of a drug-induced haze and decides it's finally time to be a contributing member of society. While Fiona faces hard decisions when she discovers her success as a landlord may mean someone else's misfortune, Lip struggles with unexpected sacrifices he must make to stay sober, while Ian takes up a cause in hopes of getting back with Trevor. Debbie builds her future at welding school while juggling life as a single working mom as Carl gets creative, finding tuition money after he loses his scholarship. Meanwhile, Liam discovers just how different the Gallaghers are from the families of his rich classmates as Frank schools him on sticking it to the man. And Kev and V have to find a way to deal with Svetlana after she steals their bar, The Alibi. The other TV title this week is Unforgotten, Season 1 from 2015, starring Nicola Walker, Sanjeev Bhaskar, and Peter Egan. When a body is discovered in a derelict building, DCI Cassie Stewart must untangle lies that have been covered up for nearly 40 years. With her partner, DI Sunil Sunny Khan, they narrow the list to 4 suspects, each with something to hide. As their deceptions are discovered, the people they love most begin to wonder what else they might be capable of. I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you one title. That one is Grease, a musical comedy from 1978 starring John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, and Stockard Channing. Good girl Sandy and greaser Danny fell in love over the summer. When they unexpectedly discover they're now in the same high school, will they be able to rekindle their romance? We've got a little bit of time here, so let me tell you a short story about the movie Grease. I grew up in Utah. That's not a secret to anybody who knows me, but what is a little more hidden about that is that Grease is pretty much universally loved in that state. I kid you not. It is treated like a family film. Families will gather around the television and they'll pop in the tape or the DVD or watch it on cable, and they will sing along and they will enjoy and they'll have so much fun together. That movie and the much derided sequel with Michelle Pfeiffer were really popular in my younger days. And it wasn't until I graduated from high school and I went to college and took the time to really start digging into the lyrics and the themes of both of those movies. You know what I found there. You know. It ranks up there as one of the biggest culture shocks I received coming into adulthood. I kid you not. There are times I look back at it and I say, really? That's a family film in Utah. Okay. Grease is rated PG. After a brief break for a bout of shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will return.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Tony Heath.
And we're going to watch every episode of Doctor Who and then talk to you about it.
Every episode?
Every single one.
In order?
From an unearthly child to, the future. And we're going to do it in a podcast that we call
The Watchathon of Rassilon.
WatchYourRassilon.com. And we're also a part of the ESO network, so check us out or whatever.
Please.
Stay Rassle Awesome.
Stop trying to make Rassle Awesome a thing.
Nope.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. First up, Star Wars Alan Ehrenreich confirms a 3-film deal with Lucasfilms. Okay. Apparently, he's signed a 3-picture deal with Lucasfilm. The guy who is tasked with following in the footsteps of Harrison Ford as Han Solo has signed a 3-picture deal. I mean, okay, so it's not uncommon, but I'm not saying that 70-year-old Harrison Ford could be in this movie and we could all pretend he was 20 years old out of sheer stubbornness, but I'm not saying it either. Okay, look, I love Star Wars, but I'm starting to get the feeling that they're milking this franchise for everything it's got. Wouldn't it be better to make a really strong solo film and see if it does well enough on its own merits to warrant 1 or even 2 more films? I feel like they're jumping the gun for a movie that might not be that good. Quantity over quality, I guess we'll see when the movie comes out. Next, Jumanji 3 has been confirmed for Christmas 2019 by Sony. Okay, if they keep the third one in the vein of the newest one, I'm on board. Finally, a video game movie that was done right. Sony Pictures chairman Tom Rothman has confirmed Jumanji 3 is happening. According to Deadline, Rothman confirmed the release toward the end of Sony's film presentation at CinemaCon 2018, half-jokingly telling exhibitors, "Don't give all of your screens to Star Wars." I remain cautiously optimistic. Jumanji 3 could be awesome. There are quite a few possibilities within that little world. I just wonder what they're gonna go with the third time around. Next, because of course this is happening, The Fast and Furious is becoming a Netflix animated series. I thought this franchise was done. Am I wrong? I mean, obviously I'm wrong, but I thought the franchise was done. What happened? The upcoming series will offer fans a look at Dom Toretto's teenage cousin Tony after he's recruited by the government to fight crime by infiltrating an elite racing league. Oh, got you. The animated series is part of one of several partnerships between Netflix and DreamWorks Animation Television. Margie Kahn, president of DreamWorks Animated Television, said in an official statement that the studio is excited to extend and expand their successful relationship with Netflix by not only delivering more high-quality DreamWorks programming, but connecting fans of Universal films with fascinating new stories. Adding that the studio's new home at Universal marks an exciting new chapter for storytelling at our studio. The series will be executive produced by a team of producers affiliated with both DreamWorks and the Fast and Furious franchise, including Vin Diesel. The Fast and Furious animated series doesn't have an official premiere date yet. I'll keep you updated as news comes in. Next, Joss Whedon defends his leaked Wonder Woman script, which, honestly, people should not be surprised by it. Don't get me wrong. Firefly ended too soon, and Buffy was revolutionary for its time, but Joss Whedon is not the feminist you think he is. Whereas Patty Jenkins' movie was largely a period piece, Whedon's script places the Princess of Themyscira in a modern-day setting. Diana also has a complex and difficult relationship with her mother, because of course she does, and the other Amazons in Whedon's screenplay, because of course she does. Gee. Fan reaction to Whedon's script was generally negative, with some people accusing Whedon of being sexist, arguing that his Wonder Woman screenplay focuses more on Steve Trevor's heroic deeds than Diana's. Given that the screenplay starts out with Steve meeting a barefoot Diana on the beach, that is not surprising at all. Really, I mean, you guys can go ahead and read it, but it's not very good it's awful. It's just straight awful. It irritated me. Speaking with Vanity Fair at the Los Angeles premiere of Avengers Infinity War, Whedon addressed the backlash saying, "I don't know which parts people didn't like, but I went and reread the script after I heard there was backlash. I think it's great. People say that it's not woke enough. I think they're not looking at the big picture. It's easy to take one phrase out of context, and I wasn't the most woke individual who ever lived at the time, 10 years ago. But I was in there swinging, and the movie has integrity, and the characters have integrity, and I stand by it." And therein lies the problem. Again, I like Firefly. I'm not so big into Buffy, but I can appreciate it for what it is. It's Joss Whedon's filmmaking that I have a problem with because he's not actually a feminist. Kind of like Frozen, he dresses up the same tropes in a different way and passes it off as his revolutionary female-centric thing, except it's not actually female-centric. Not really. And finally, Disney is eyeing Brie Larson for a Snow White spin-off called Rose Red. Disney Film Fact reports that a long-gestating movie, Rose Red, is moving forward and that the studio is eyeing Brie Larson to play the title role of Snow White's sister. The plot is said to branch out of the original Disney animated movie, but will take place moments after Snow White ate the poison apple given to her by the Wicked Queen. As she lies in a death-like state, her sister Rose Red embarks on a quest with the seven dwarves to find a way to break the curse. The plot is based on an original script from Justin Mers with updates from screenwriter Evan Doherty to bring it close to the animated film's narrative. Except that Snow White and Rose Red and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs are not the same damn story. Come on, Disney. Read the fairy tales you're trying to sanitize. Snow White and Rose Red concern themselves with bear princes and two tenacious girls. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is the fairy tale we all know and love. Though, okay, so to be fair, Fables did the same thing, so whatever. I'm just a purist. I admit it. I'll also admit to being interested in where they're going to take this one, so sue me. Okay, guys, that's it for me. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, or the show in general, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think we can do better. You can do that by surfing over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leaving an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. Just click the widget that says send voicemail and follow the prompts. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex at gmail.com, or even go short form with Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith, all one word. And I am Womprat99, like the creature look at Bullseye in his T16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. The main show is making a comeback in 2018, and it's offered weekly via Facebook Live on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Grab a cuppa, join in the fun, and leave some comments in the live stream, or download the audio version later in the podcast feed. We also explore our favorite aspects of genre entertainment with the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, Present the Transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show Version podcast, and so much more. Speaking of the OSI Files podcast, that is coming back as a video podcast, so get your Bionic on and go see that one in May. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine with the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, which has episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s. It was a public access television show on the New York City airways. No Roku, no problem, because John is also uploading those episodes to YouTube, our Facebook page, and archive.org. So hey, there's no excuse. You have to check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who from the very beginning of the franchise and reviewing those tales in the Timestamps Project. And this week, I'm going even deeper into the 24th season with the 7th Doctor and Paradise Towers. Something's hungry in the basement. You can find that review and so many more at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. If you happen to be in the Atlanta area from May 4th through May 6th, you can find me at Wholanta. It's an annual convention celebrating Doctor Who, British media, speculative fiction. It's a fan-run convention. It's been around since 2005 as Timegate, but now they're going by Wholanta. Past guests have included Katie Manning, Michelle Gomez, Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant. The list goes on. This year's guests include Louise Jameson, Rachel Talalay, Richard Starkings, Kelly Yates, and the group known as Pixel Who. I'm going to be volunteering mostly as a panelist on the Other Worlds track, which covers mostly speculative fiction, but I'm always willing to talk Doctor Who as well. That convention, once again, runs from May 4th through 6th at the Atlanta Airport Hilton, and you can find more information at their website, wholanta.com. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as an artist and a cover designer. I shake my tail feathers for every week here on the podcast. She did the logo for Creative Criticality, and yeah, she does great work. You know she does. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures and drama, comedy and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. So get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and I'll see you on the other side of the Infinity War.